All right, guys, let's talk about them fourth quarter woes. Hopefully, Devin will fix a good amount of them, or at least make them less atrocious. But Gerald, you wrote about this specifically over at gophnx.com, which if you guys want to take a deeper dive, you can check that out over there. But kind of give us the breakdown. I know you pulled some stats that did not look pretty.
I did. Let's take a look at those because they're awful. And they were bad before the last game, but shooting 2 for 21 in the fourth against the Thunder made it even worse. They're 30th in scoring, 30th in assists, 30th in turnovers. And I would like to point out they're averaging more turnovers than assists in the fourth quarter right now. 30th in field goal percentage, 29th in three-point percentage, so slight progress there. 30th in point differential, 30th in offensive rating, and they are 16th in defensive rating. They've been outscored by 61 points in 120 minutes in the fourth quarter. They have shot 7 for 44 on wide open threes, which is where the closest defender is 6 feet away. They're generating the 10th most wide open threes in the fourth per game, but they have the worst percentage in the NBA on those shots.
Gerald,
nothing has gone right.
Say something nice.
It'll get better with Book.
They're not 30th in three-point percentage. Yeah. I mean, they're 29th.
Oh my God!
Can you put that back up, Eric?
Sheesh.
It's not great.
Listen,
that right there is absolutely atrocious. Now, there's not one stat in there that I am not confident won't get better when you add a guy like Devin Booker. And I know you laughing. I see you over there.
Yeah, but
hold on. Another thing that's interesting. You just said it. I love that you said that. Wide open threes, right? They're not knocking them down. That's by design. That's by design. Well, the defenses are saying, please, Josh Okogie, take a three.
I'm so glad you meant my defense.
Hey, KDB, go ahead. Please take a three. We don't want KD taking this. He the only one on the court can do anything. Y'all go ahead to Nurk, take that three. We leaving you. That's by design. When Devin Booker's in the game, that changes.
But does it?
Yes, it does. Yes,
don't
it does.
you still leave those guys open?
No, gravity. You can right now. They can key up on KD and literally leave 4 dudes and say, whichever one of y'all want to shoot, y'all shoot. You can't do that with Devin. Now with Devin, you're not gonna be able to play Kevin the same way. You're not gonna be able to play Devin the same way. And some of those shots now that are threes might end up pump fake dunks.
I think
because of the gravity. So, I think basketball in a lot of ways is very simplistic. And I know we go into the analytical side of things and we go into this, just looking at stats, and I'm not talking about you, G. I'm talking about in general.
Yeah, right.
People get too hyped up with this stuff, and I just think it's really simplistic. You add good players on the court, and people play better. There is a such thing as great players making other players better, and Devin makes people better.
I would agree with that, but my big problem is what he talked about with the open threes.
Yeah,
because Devin Booker isn't going to make them any more open than they currently are. Maybe in a different way, like you said, where they can drive to the hoop. But the hopes of this team are going to come down to if guys like Josh Okogie or KBD or Grayson Allen or Eric Gordon are those other guys out there on the court, they're going to have to knock down those open threes if you're going to want to be a championship team. And I understand that the law of averages says that likely will start happening. And this was everything went wrong all at once, but you're still going to need those guys to hit those open threes at some point.
Does it matter? Does score matter to y'all? And I'm asking y'all this question, literally, like I'm being for real. Does score matter for in the fourth quarter? If you're down 5 or 6, do you think it changes the way Josh Okogie, KBD, Wanatabe take those shots in crunch time? Because there is a such thing as crunch time minutes.
Yes. Right.
Changes, right? So what if they're not down 5 now? Because Devin's actually playing 30 minutes, so they're up 5. That's a change shot. That's a change scenario. That guy does not have to make that 3 now. That guy can actually take his time, set it up, say, okay, do I want to take this 3? Do I want to take another dribble? Do I want to get it back to Book? Do I want to go from good to great? They're not the things we talk about doing, they're not capable of doing right now. And I think these are the variables that get completely blown out and ignored when you're missing this type of talent. And I can't wait to see the fourth quarter tomorrow. It's gonna look night and day. And I truly believe if you just go back to the Golden State game and you go back to the San Antonio game, what would those fourth quarter numbers look like?
They're a lot better.
So, I mean, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, don't call it a damn dinosaur. It's a duck.
Yeah, but okay. But you want to talk the first three quarters?
I'm just saying, like, you know, I don't care about the first. I'm talking about when Devin Booker's on the court, we see a certain type of basketball, and I'm expecting that to happen again because this is a 9th-year NBA pro that has showed us for enough time what he's capable of doing. And the idea that it's gonna just all of a sudden change because of 4 games that we play bad in the fourth quarter, like I don't buy that.
But let me throw this at you. Last year we had KD from February and played 10 games, played in the playoffs. Josh Okogie still missed those shots. It still hurt them in the playoffs when he was wide open and he missed those shots. Devin didn't change that, and that's my concern. Is Devin is not going.
But this isn't last year's team.
No, it isn't.
That's the thing that I think is important is that the difference with the wide open shots now is that guys like Grayson Allen or Eric Gordon, when they're on the court and they're missing those shots, they're kind of like, especially until Beal came back, were like the second or third option. I think it's easier to knock down those looks when you're being disrespected as like, that's the 4th or the 5th guy. Right now, the 4th or the 5th guy is like Okogie or KBD. And one of those guys will still need to be out there, I think. And Okogie we talked to him after the game, and he was talking about like, I've just got to knock him down, but I've also got to leverage some of my cutting and other things that I do instead of relying on just, you know, standing in the corner and shooting those shots because they're obviously not falling. So I think he's cognizant that he needs to find better ways to attack. But I do think there's a difference when, you know, KBD is your 5th guy as opposed to
7 or 8.
3rd or 4th guy.
I got you.
Like that's on the lineup. And I think Book coming back helps with a lot of that because KD has had the ball in his hands and the offense has kind of gone stagnant. This was a big part of the piece that I wrote about is the Suns value what he can do as a walking ISO bucket, but it wears on you. Like KD is top 5 in the league in minutes per game. I think he still might have the highest usage percentage of his career right now, which at age 35 is not ideal when he's playing 36, 37 minutes a game. And it kind of, I was kind of surprised at some of the guys being so upfront about feeling like they came out and said, like, we feel like we're deferring to KD and Brad a little too much. Nurk said something to the effect of like, our offense is too good to devolve into ISOs. So it's one of those things where it's like a chicken or egg situation. Like, do you need to move the ball so that role players will hit shots, or do role players need to hit shots so KD will feel comfortable moving the ball?
Great point.
It's one of those things that I think when Book comes back, that balance is alleviated a little bit. So hopefully that kind of empowers guys to make those plays that it looks like they've kind of froze up in some of those situations.
I think one point that maybe I'm overlooking that you bring up too is an EG, a Grayson Allen, even a KBD to some certain extent will probably be playing fewer minutes in the game too. So where they may not be, especially in EG's case, where you may not be able to play 30 hard. If you're out there for 20 or 25, but you're closing the game, maybe you're a little fresher to make those shots too. And I think that's certainly one thing I'm overlooking, but still going to have to make those shots at some point.
You do. You absolutely have to make those shots. I will say when you have a fully powered Beal and Booker out there, that's 2 guys that now everybody is bumped down 2 in the pecking order. And suddenly some of these open threes that guys are missing, slightly better 3-point shooters are hopefully taking those shots.
You know what's the play? The Golden State play where Booker made the play to Nurkic to win the game. I look at that play. I went back and looked at that play, and I wonder if we were in that same spot with the current team, how does that play look? How does that play look? Take Book off that game and put KD in that spot.
They had already blown it earlier.
Game's over. No, game's over. But if you look at that still shot of that play, the gravity, the spacing, the guys being where they need to be, it's an entirely different ball game when you add that guy on the court. And on top of that, you're adding a little bit of Beal. So I think it's gonna help tremendously.
And I do I don't want to boil it down just to these numbers because obviously the Suns have been blowing fourth quarters without Book, and that's going to affect this. But they're a +7 in 19 fourth quarter minutes with Book. They're a -68 in 101 minutes without him. It's not that simple, but in some ways,
sometimes it is.
The numbers are going to revert back to the mean, I think, here soon.